This is Nilou's world, a different version of Teyvat present during the Sumeru Archon Quest. When the player has control of Trial Nilou, you aren't supposed to be able to explore here, but I've covered just about every corner of it, all except Liyue. Pretty sure something big is missing from the Wangshu Inn. The water wheel is gone, yet its water effect remains, meaning we've caught a glimpse at how the devs layer the map. You'd think the water would be part of the wheel's model, but nope. It's similar to how Mondstadt's windmills were missing, except for their doors, that were also only visible from one side. It's neat being able to see the map like this, trying to figure out what will be missing. The inn's elevator is gone, but the mechanism that moves it is still there and animated. Meanwhile, the path leading up to the inn is in disrepair again. Completely forgot the inn is like this when you first arrive. Speaking of things missing, water is a big one. Anytime there's an area where water can be lowered, it simply does not exist in this version of Teyvat. Dunyu Ruins? Bone dry. The treasure platform isn't there, so we can get atop these spears. Taishin Mansion? That's more interesting, because this place is never supposed to be fully drained. Other things that tend to be missing are barriers. Though we saw with Tatarasuna over in Inazuma, that's not always the case. Intrepid explorers may have encountered this barrier over top a mountain in northwest of Liyue. It seals off a quest location, and although it looks like an entrance, this barrier never actually vanishes. It is a very weird design choice. Couldn't they just seal the top of the mountain with rock? What's the logic behind this barrier? Is there a lore reason? And if so, why do they seal off the top with this all-powerful barrier, but leave the regular entrance with just a steel gate? Whatever the reason, it actually has vanished and one can enter from the top. The device inside the mountain is also gone, giving this iconic location for many Day 1 players a strange new look. The entrance to Ageha's domain is open, despite this account having not completed the second act of Zhongli's story quest. The door is missing, but collision remains. While we're on the topic of barriers, we should probably cover Liyue's two most iconic. The first is the Chasm Seal. With how players no longer need to do the quest to enter the underground mines, because starting the Chasm Dainslift quest lets you teleport straight in, they may as well get rid of the seal, just like it's gone here. I remember spending so much time breaking into this pit back when the Chasm released, all to see if the loading trigger for entering the mines was present, without dispelling the seal. It's not, but what was present was a bunch of obstacles to overcome, like a teleport barrier on the floor, invisible walls and ceiling, none of which are present in Nilou's version. The other iconic seal is Sol Terai. It's also gone, meaning we can jump right down. Because skybox changes aren't a thing in Nilou's world, for areas prior to Sumeru, the place is bright and looks like it did back in version 1.0. How nostalgic. My first ever video on YouTube was breaking into here in 1.0. There certainly wasn't a shortage of ways to do so either. The devs must have learned their lesson, because they've not put unreleased content into the game since. Although, I recently learned they may have started doing so again, since the Mad Sage cave Seatlali mentions in 5.2 is already on the map. It's simply blocked by a wall. Nothing in there, which is the difference between it and Sol Terai. Treasure chests were present and lootable in 1.0 Sol Terai, a whole version update before their official release. Wow, I've really gotten off topic. Let's get back to Nilou's world. and take a look at the rest of the places in Liyue that have skybox changes. The 9 Pillars of Peace Ruins, also known as... oh gosh, I still don't know the correct pronunciation of this place. Someone help me out. We can see the ruins up close at any time of day, as the normal cloudy skybox won't show up. Liyue received a pretty big expansion since I started this series, in the form of Shenyu Vale. Admittedly, I don't quite know what I'm looking for in that region, as I've not done a single quest there, but let's take a quick peek anyways.
Running away?
That wraps up Nilou's world. I've made this poor girl run across every inch of Teyvat. She deserves a break. Since I know I'll be asked, what about Natlan? In the comments? In the Fontaine episode, I talked about how Northern Fontaine couldn't be accessed because a teleport barrier sealed it off. My theory is that, because this line where the teleport barrier is, was the most northern part of the map at the time the 5th act of Sumeru's Archon Quest released in version 3.2, this is also the boundary box for Teyvat in Nilou's world. I also encountered one in the northern part of Sumeru's desert, and it lined up perfectly with what was the most western part of the map at the time. All of this is to say that it cannot be accessed because Natlan resides beyond the western line. The boundaries for Nilou's world are most likely as such. There's still a lot of space south of Liyue and Sumeru that could be filled in. So perhaps one day there will be new places for her to run and explore. That said, there is one more place I'd like to revisit and share, especially now that the HUD can be turned off. One final fun fact before we end. There isn't a single source of pyro anywhere in this version of Teyvat. In fact, that goes for all but one element. Hydro is the only one present. It truly is Nilou's world. This is Moosashi, signing off. Till next time.